In a little over 2 weeks, thousands of Afghan citizens living in the U.S. will lose their temporary protected status. The Trump administration recently announced that it was terminating that protection for Afghans, most of whom fled their country when it fell in 2021 to the Taliban. Earlier this month, ICE arrested Syed Nasser, an Afghan asylum seeker who helped the U.S. military during the war. They arrested him in San Diego after he went to a hearing in his case. DHS says that Nasser entered the U.S. in 2024 unvetted during the Biden administration, and there is nothing in his immigration records indicating he assisted the U.S. government in any capacity. DHS goes on to say that Nasser's claims will be heard by a judge, and any Afghan who fears persecution is able to request asylum. Nasser's attorney, though, calls that a ruse and says that Nasser has provided evidence, including letters of recommendation from former employers showing that he served as an interpreter at the Kabul Military Training Institute. Now, there are two veterans advocacy groups rallying around these Afghan immigrants who helped American service members during America's 20-year war, organizing vets to accompany them to their court appearances across the country. I'm joined now by Shawn VanDiver. He's the founder and the president of AfghanEvac, which is one of the groups behind this Battle Buddies effort. Shawn, thank you so much for being with us. And just first off, talk to us about the scope of the population affected here. How many Afghan refugees and their family members are we talking about possibly facing deportation? And tell us about the kind of assistance they provided during the war.
Sure, Brianna, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm excited to be here talking about Battle Buddies, which is sort of flipping the script, right? For 20 years of war, Afghans stood beside us, and now it's our turn to stand shoulder to shoulder with them as they're fighting for their lives in our country. The number of Afghans is sort of unknown, right? Like the DHS doesn't really share a lot of information these days. By our last count, it was somewhere between 9 and 14,000 folks who were eligible for TPS, but that's only one protected temporary status, right? There's humanitarian parole, and there's various other statuses that folks could be here under. What we're seeing this administration do is systematically deconstruct and block the pathways, both abroad. AfghanEvac worked alongside the last administration to create the safest, most secure legal immigration pathway in our history. It was called Enduring Welcome, and it was meant to bring the nearly 500,000 Afghans that we had left behind here. We got through about half of them. There's about half of them left. And this administration has ended Enduring Welcome. They've ended the executive agency within the State Department meant to take care of them. And then once they get here, they're snatching them up from courts like poor Syed Nasser Nouri was. And he was the inspiration for this effort. IAVA and I got together, or IAVA and AfghanEvac got together, and we said, hell no, are we going to let these folks who made it all the way here after standing with us stand alone in court? And that's what brought us to today.
Okay, so tell us what you're asking veterans to do at these immigration hearings, and what are the limitations? Because we've seen that there are some interactions where people have tried to accompany immigrants to different hearings. Are there some limitations to what they can actually do if ICE does come for some of these Afghans?
Sure. Look, this isn't a protest. This isn't, you're not supposed to wear slogans or bring signs or disrupt the court proceedings. Battle Buddies is about standing in quiet solidarity, standing outside the courtroom with them as they're preparing to go in and face this life-altering with the federal judicial and federal immigration system. It's about accompanying Afghans into court while they're in there, standing quietly, observing. It's about bearing witness once they get outside. We hope that people will capture whatever happens on film, but we don't want people interfering. They have to sign, essentially a code of conduct, legal guidelines that say that they're not going to do those things, right? Because we're not making it about us. This is about Afghans who have done Syed did every single thing he was supposed to do. Every single thing he was supposed to do. And the thanks that he got was he got snatched up, and now the government is trying to deport him. I'm actually, right after we get off here, I'm going to go see him at the Otay Mesa detention facility.
Okay, we'll check in with you to see, what he's experiencing. So what happens to Afghans if they lose their TPS and they have to go back to Afghanistan or some other country?
Sure. If they lose their temporary status here in the United States and they're deported, the Supreme Court just this week said that President Trump can send anybody anywhere he wants to. There's no more limitation on going back to your country of origin. So he could ostensibly send them to South Sudan or Kosovo or another country that is nothing like Afghanistan. Or they could give Afghans the option to go back to Afghanistan. Any Afghan that has been here for any period of time faces certain death when they return because of their relationship with us, especially somebody like Syed. Syed fled after the Taliban hunted his brother down at a wedding his wife was at. He and his wife fled, and they eventually, Syed got to Brazil. He walked to the United States from Brazil, knocked on the front door, as he was legally allowed to do, was let in, filed for asylum, and is now, as he describes it, sleeping in the same room he goes to the bathroom. It's unconscionable. It's disgusting. This is not what we signed up for. This is not, I'm sure, what President Trump's voters voted for. Veterans all across this country are pissed off, and that's why IAVA and AfghanEvac started Battle Buddies.
Shawn VanDiver, thank you so much for being with us, and do check in with us and let us know what is happening with Syed. We really appreciate you being here.
We sure will. Thank you so much.